Before starting this week's episode, please be aware that there will be spoilers for Malcolm and Marie, Assassination Nation, and Euphoria. Thanks for tuning in.
Hey guys, welcome back to BackTalk with
Nyla
and Laita. And today we're going to be doing our episode and reviewing Malcolm and Marie, which is a new movie on Netflix directed by Sam Levinson,
starring Zendaya and John David Washington. So just to give a little background to how we'll be talking about it in this episode, first we'll be talking about Zendaya's character Marie, and then we will go into John David Washington's character Malcolm. And then we're going to be talking about the movie as a whole, as well as Sam Levinson's role as a director. So let's get right into it, shall we? Okay. There are obviously going to be spoilers for the movie, so like if you haven't watched it yet, please wait until you watch it to watch our episode. Yeah, anyways.
Okay, so first let's just jump right in talking about our beloved Zendaya playing Marie. First of all, I'm so proud because she really stepped into her grown woman. Like she put on the jacket and she was like, I'm not from Disney no more. Stop.
Exactly. A lot of people had something to say about the fact that she started out on Disney and now she's doing grown stuff on screen. Like, what did you expect? She's a good 23, 24 years old. She's not
about to be shaking it up forever. Like, I'm sorry.
Exactly.
At first, I was a little nervous because I was like, I don't know. Because it's different when adults, like people who were adults when Shake It Up and like when Zendaya was on Disney, like it's different when they're like, oh my gosh, like why is she trying to be grown? Because it's coming from like the place of like you know, aunties and uncles, like stay in y'all lane. Yeah. But I feel like it's different for Gen Z who like grew up watching her, because like it's always like it was crazy when Miley Cyrus was out here acting a fool. But I mean, that's different stuff. But like, it's just different to see like your childhood, like, you know what I mean? Like stars and like idols in like different like environment type stuff. So for me, I was like, I don't know if I'm gonna be able to see her. Cause like even in Euphoria, she was still a teenager in that. So it was different. Like she was still in high school. It wasn't nothing like really, I mean, the show was crazy, but like it wasn't nothing that was like, oh, like she like just went from like Shake It Up, Casey Undercover to like, let's do something grown and sexy stuff. Like, you know what I mean? But yeah, so I was like a little nervous. So I was like, I don't know if I'm gonna be able to see her. Like, I don't know if I'm gonna be able to take her seriously. And I watched like the trailer that came out or whatever. And I was like, but when I was watching it, I was like, okay, like it didn't seem forced. Like I feel like Zendaya was really acting like it was like it came off naturally. Like it didn't seem like she was like trying too hard to be grown. Like, you know what I mean? So definitely, yay, love that for you, Miss Zendaya. Nyla, you have anything you need to say about that?
Well, I am an original Z swagger since 6th grade. Yeah, that was me. But honestly, I'm very like proud of Zendaya and like where she's come from and where she's going. And like Laita said, having grown up with her on Disney Channel and then see her make this transition like off of Disney Channel into more grown woman stuff is like definitely, it's definitely a change. But once again, celebrities, they're still people. They're still out here making a living and doing what they love, acting. So I feel like giving her all of this backlash for that, you can't expect somebody to be a Disney star forever. Like everybody literally grows up and goes their own ways. So it's really hard to see somebody on Disney, but I don't feel like they should have to stick with the Disney label the whole time. It's like actually kind of annoying trying to like stop these people from growing up just because they started out on Disney. It's like it doesn't make sense. So
it's very much sick.
Yeah.
But yeah, like now segueing into like her actually in the movie, like I loved her character. Like I know some people might be like, oh, they were equally as toxic, blah 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 blah. No. I just feel like Marie was a victim. You're a victim. Like Marie was a victim. She was a victim. Like we'll get into Malcolm next, but the fact that she started dating him when she was really young and like broken, didn't have nobody else to go to, and like this was like the person who like kind of made all that better in a sense. And then like I don't know, it's just like how he treated her. It was sick, and I just feel like she didn't know how like that's all she really knew, because you know it's like when you're with someone for so like since you were young and for so long, and like you've gone through traumatic stuff with them. Like I just feel like that, like you really, it's like tunnel vision at that point. Like that person is all you see. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But yeah, Zendaya, her character was funny. Funny, funny, funny. Like I didn't laugh much during that movie because we'll get into that later. But anytime that she was speaking, she always came with some snide remarks. Okay, like and like I feel like it's not even about the fact that that was written for her to say. It's just like how she performs it makes it funny, because you know how Zendaya with them facials, like she be sending me. Okay,
Yeah.
but
Absolutely.
yeah, like Nyla, you got anything to say about that?
Yes, her acting impeccable. So there's this one part in the movie where she's pretending to have relapsed or having never been clean from doing drugs, and she was putting on a show in front of Malcolm to prove that she should have been cast in his movie. And it was crazy because Zendaya, not only was Marie acting, Zendaya was acting. She was putting herself into that character. It was a little too real, okay, to see that happen, like to see it unfold in front of my eyes. That was like just amazing. Now, as to talk to like Marie's character, like Laita said, Marie was really broken, and you'll notice a trend in how Malcolm says that he messes with broken people. We'll get into that when we talk about him, right? But besides that, like Marie, her reason for coming into this relationship is that Malcolm was loving her in a way that she's never been loved before. So in that sense, that's why she became attached to Malcolm, and this relationship, you can tell, is like just so toxic, and it seems like she can never get out of it because she doesn't think that she'll be able to find like another relationship like this. And it also seems as if Malcolm is literally manipulating her and verbally abusing her into thinking that nobody will ever love her the way that he does.
Very much sick.
Yeah. Men, sorry.
What something else I noticed was like, it's like this is like kind of getting into Malcolm, but it's like it's still kind of talking about Marie. But like I realized that Marie, it's like her voice in comparison in this relationship dynamic, her voice is so small compared to Malcolm's. Like she can't say nothing without this man raising his voice. Like she can't, like I feel like she can't really express her feelings because every 5 seconds he's like, okay, but I did that for you. Like I remember when you were a crack baby. Remember that you were addicted.
It's not funny. It is not funny.
That's not funny. That's not funny. But it's like every time, like she tries to be like, I just feel like you didn't show any appreciation towards me. I feel like you don't appreciate me, like in general in this relationship. Like you never thanked me for the things I've done for you. He don't want to hear that. He just wants to like. It's like he wants to like break her so that she'll like remember her place. Like it's
Yeah, it's kind of sick because the whole argument that they have over the course of this night is the fact that she just wants to be verbally thanked. And it was a lot more than being thanked in his I was about to say graduation speech. It's a lot more than being thanked in his awards ceremony speech or whatever, right? Like she was asking for a lot more, and he was like belittling her and trying to make it seem like what she wanted was outlandish and it didn't make any sense. Like it was actually kind of sickening to see. And yes, like Marie's character, very questionable. She also said some sly stuff that shouldn't fly in a relationship at all. The whole point is that this is a very toxic dynamic between the two. But I just have to say that Malcolm is more toxic. But
yeah. No, he definitely is, because I realized that like I was like, it's the difference between how Marie begins talking to him. Like, it's like how she starts out conversations. It's like she's coming to him like respectfully. People may argue that that's not true, but I just feel like he comes at her like 10 times harder when she's just trying to get him to like self-reflect and like realize why she's saying the stuff that she is. Like she's literally just trying to get him to think from her point of view, and he like goes off like 0 to 100. Like now he tries to hurt her, and she's just trying to get him to see stuff from her point of view. It's sick.
There was literally this one point where she was on the floor and she was like tearing up, and she said to Malcolm, if I say this to you, can you promise that you won't get mad? And he's like, oh, I promise. And then what does he do? He goes and gets mad after, because the question was, she was asking, why didn't you cast me in your movie? And like he completely went off on her, wasn't trying to like, I feel like Malcolm doesn't know how to communicate emotionally. He has no emotional intelligence, if that makes sense. Yeah, like, I just feel like he doesn't know how to read her emotions or anything about her. So,
How do we feel about Marie's character as a whole? Summary.
summary. Okay. Well, Marie, it's really hard to come at this from a neutral perspective because I love Zendaya. I'm also a black woman. So it's like, to say that she is the villain just doesn't sit right with me. But at the same time, I do acknowledge her downfalls in the relationship, but I also see like where she's coming from. You know, it's hard to blame Marie's character because she's in a relationship and it's pretty obvious that she kind of loves him, but it's also confusing because where is the foundation for that love really? Like, was it from him saving her from being on crack? Like, is that where the love is? Okay. You know what? Crack wasn't said to be the drug of choice, so I don't know why we're saying crack. I'm sorry, so I'm actually gonna stop saying that. But like, was it the fact that Malcolm saved her from being on drugs? I feel like she's confusing what her love is, perhaps. But Marie has a lot of things that she needs to deal with concerning Malcolm. I feel like Malcolm is all of her problem. Like, just drop him. But that is what a toxic relationship is. It's just back and forth. You love the person, but you can never really let go of them because even when they're being like totally insufferable. But that's what a toxic relationship is, and I think that's the main point of what the movie was trying to say, you know? So. So what about you?
Okay. So I feel like these are like, to summarize, let me just say victim. Like, I find a hard time like trying to blame Marie for like the faults in the relationship because when we get to Malcolm, we'll get to him. But it's just like overall, like if you compare the two, he has way more faults than she has. The only fault she has is that she is like, she relies on him. She has a lot of healing to do, but it's like hard to heal when like there's somebody like breaking you down every 5 seconds and like bringing up your past and about how you're suicidal and you were addicted to drugs and you're not. It's sick. Like, I just feel like who can really blame her for how she acts in this relationship when she's literally dating a monster? Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So yeah, love you, Marie. If you need, call me. Like, just all right, next.
Okay, so now we're gonna get into Malcolm. Okay, so I guess we have to talk about this. Okay.
I got something to say. Marie.
Because why was that man always looking for her and screaming after her? Yeah, so Malcolm, this character, I feel like he was so... The whole point of his character is that he's a narcissist, and you can tell that he's a narcissist because all that he cares about is himself, and also his ego is so huge and inflated that he literally cannot see anything else around him. And like, some of the stuff that he says, like the whole point of Malcolm and Marie is that they're having an argument and they go back and forth with these monologues, and it's actually kind of crazy what Malcolm says in his stuff because, you know, Marie, she said her share of things, and she had some jabs in there. But Malcolm, he was doing the absolute most, okay? Because he was literally relaying every single relationship he had before Marie. And his whole point was to say that the entire movie that Malcolm made wasn't based on Marie, but like... What was the point? You literally wanted to berate her while she was in the bathtub too. Like, you wanted to do that. You wanted to show her that you had power and control over her. Like, what kind of relationship dynamic is that? That was absolutely disgusting to me. And then he wanted to break down crying at the end like, I love you. Come on. Are you kidding me?
No.
Disgusting.
And then it's the fact that he was like verbally abusing her while eating the mac and cheese that she made him. Like, the audacity, you should choke.
That entire scene was terrible because he was really macking on the cheese. He was macking on it. He was like, Marie, like, I I'm actually speechless because that was so terrible that he was really berating her as he was gulping down macaroni and cheese and Kraft macaroni and cheese.
At that, like I just feel like he's like the poster. I don't even want to say child, the poster man for abuser. Like you look up abuser in the dictionary and you see a big ass picture of Malcolm. Like he is sick and twisted. Like the amount of time, like I keep bringing this up, but the way that Marie would be like, Bestie, I'm afraid to ask you this. Bestie, I'm afraid to ask you. Because he would literally take anything she said and run with it and try to bring up like every single traumatic thing that's ever happened to her in her life. Like it's sick. Like I don't understand like why he was like so dead set on like reminding her, like humbling her, like, okay, about listen, stop trying to humble black women. Stop trying to humble black women.
Yeah, about her own trauma that you used in your movie and you refused to acknowledge.
Sick.
Yeah. Something else that I wanted to bring light to, I actually saw this on Twitter the night that I watched it, like the night that we watched it, and it was about how they were dressed in the movie, okay? So in the beginning, they come home from the movie. Yeah, they come home from the premiere, and Zendaya's in her beautiful dress, and Malcolm is dressed up in his suit or whatever. And throughout the movie, notice how Malcolm is literally dressed almost the entire time, and then we see Marie do like 3 different outfit changes, right? So she goes from wearing this exposed kind of dress, and then she goes into the shower, and she's in the bathtub naked, right? And then after that, she has on only a tank top and briefs. And then after that, she puts on like a kimono. So what I saw on Twitter was that people were saying kind of how Marie really bared herself in this relationship and how her clothes were supposed to mimic that, how every part of her has been exposed. And there was even a part in the movie where Marie said she was watching the premiere of Malcolm's movie and she felt like she exposed too much of herself to him, and she was like, I really didn't mean to say this much. And it was kind of crazy how I was able to see that connection between what she was wearing and how much she was exposed in comparison to Malcolm. Like, the worst part of Malcolm's monologues ever was when she was in the bathtub naked. Okay, that was the worst part of the movie. I hated that absolutely. He was infuriating me. He was. And it was just interesting that every time she would expose more and more of herself, like physically on her body, was when Malcolm would get more insufferable and say some more outlandish stuff. So I thought that was really interesting. Yeah.
I just wanted to, first of all, that's I didn't even notice that, like, your mind.
Well, not my mind. Somebody on Twitter.
Somebody on Twitter's mind. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't even notice that. Like, it's crazy because the whole time I was just like, I hate Malcolm. Like, that was my thought throughout the whole movie, was like, I hate Malcolm. I hate men. Because it's just like, sir. And like, let's go back to the part. We keep going back to the bathtub, but I just have to go back there. Like, the fact that he kept bringing up like all the broken people he dated, that right there tells me.
Red flag.
Exactly. That is a red flag. Like, that tells me that you are abusive. Like, why do you feel the need to, like, he wants to find people that he can like control for rape because he knows that they're at their lowest point. Like, that says a lot about you if that your whole entire dating history is just people that like you have more power than. Like, hello, you're sick. Therapy. So, final thoughts on Malcolm? Are we wrapping up Malcolm right now? Because I have nothing but bad things to say about that man.
Yeah, let's wrap up Malcolm because we're going to get heated, and I just feel like we're not here to do that. This is supposed to be a fun environment, a safe space, but not safe.
Exactly.
It's not safe for Malcolm, actually. So Malcolm, he was just a terrible person. He tried to make himself seem like he was better than everybody, holier than thou, and the only time I ever really agreed with him, I think, was when he was having that entire monologue with the film critic from the LA Times, New York Times?
Yeah,
okay.
LA Times.
LA Times? Okay, yeah. So he was kind of talking about how, like, everything has to be about race and stuff like that. I'm not going to get too much into it, but, like, I feel like he was making a few points. Another thing that I do want to say is, like, it's the fact that he was yelling the entire movie. Was that man not tired?
Exactly. Tired? I know his throat was hurting because all we got from Malcolm was yelling and spitting. Like,
yeah, absolutely. Like, it was just, I was uncomfortable because I felt like I was being yelled at, and I did not like that because he had no right. But anyways, I also didn't like how he kind of would also push away Marie's problems and try to have sex with her. He was trying to have sex with her the entire night instead of like really and truly listening to what she was trying to say. And not to victimize Marie, she is a victim, but like I said, she has her own downfalls in the relationship, you know. But Malcolm, he is insufferable. I did not like him at all, and I think that was the point of his character, like to show his own toxicity in a way. So yeah, that's what I have to say about Malcolm. Ugh.
All I have to say about Malcolm is behind bars. Like he just needs to get him away from me. Like I don't want to see nothing else from Malcolm. Like I don't want to hear a peep out of him. I hate him.
Yeah.
Next.
So now for this segment of the episode, we're going to talk about the movie in general as well as Sam Levinson. So the entire movie was filmed in black and white, and the reason for this was because Sam Levinson actually wanted the entire movie to be timeless so that when you watched it 20 years from now, you would still have the same vibe, like the same idea that it could take place anytime, anywhere, because the story is timeless, right? And also, as for the wardrobe, they were all, I think only Zendaya was actually styled by her own stylist, La Roche. He kind of went in depth in this article about how they went about choosing each of Zendaya's outfits, you know, because in the first scenes, she was in this dress, and it was really important to them that they had this dress that would shine in all angles and all lights. And since the movie was black and white, it was important that their clothes were telling some kind of story, you know? But I saw that article and I thought that was interesting, so that's why I wanted to bring it up. So go ahead.
Yeah, I didn't get the reason. Like that's one of the notes I wrote down when we were watching. I was like, what is the point of it being in black and white? Like, okay, he wants it to be timeless. It could be timeless with some color.
Okay.
Like,
okay, but like, I take a few film classes at school, and a lot of the time that, like, we notice that a lot of movies that are made in black and white that don't have to be made in black and white, the purpose for them being made in that color scheme is because they want you to focus more on what's happening in the scene and what's happening with the characters and their emotions rather than their environment. So that's normally what the reason is for making black and white movies.
Yeah, that makes sense. Especially because like this movie was like a bunch of long behind monologues. Like I'm not gonna lie, I started getting bored because at some point Malcolm was going on and on and on. I was like, okay, can you come up with something else? But yeah, that definitely makes sense because I definitely would have been looking at the sheets in the back. Like, all right, Sam Levinson. I'm sorry if you're watching this. Count. Let me stop threatening this man online. But he's weird. Like, so I wasn't really seeing what other people were seeing. Like when Euphoria was getting a bunch of critiques, I was like, don't come for my show, like, because I love Euphoria. If anybody knows me, you know I don't watch that show like 7 times now, like, period. But it's like now I'm really my eyes are starting to be open because the day that we watched Malcolm and Marie, I watched Assassination Nation, which is another movie he made, like that's like earlier that day. So I was already having beef with Mr. Sam, okay? And the fact that how old is Sam Levinson? Like he's a grown white man, and I'm not, look him up for me, please and thank you. I'm not okay with how he tries to sexualize young teen girls. Like, at some point, it's getting to be too much. Like, I know Zendaya is an adult in this, but the fact that, like, he's always trying to have an age gap. What's wrong with him in age gap?
He's 36 years old.
See, too grown. He's always trying to have an age gap. Like, Euphoria, there was, like, Nate's dad, like, trying to mess with all the little high schoolers. Then there was Assassination Nation, like one of the main characters. If you ain't watched that movie, I'm sorry, it's about to get spoiled a little bit. But one of the main characters was like a high schooler who like babysat for this family. And why were her and the dad kind of having a little thingy? Like, I don't understand why that has to be an element in all of his movies. Like, why?
Yeah, it's a little weird.
Why? It's getting odd.
Like, and a lot of the backlash surrounding Malcolm and Marie was that Zendaya is 23 and John David Washington is like in his 30s. I think there's a 12-year difference. So he's
Mm-hmm.
like, John David is also like 34, 35 or something. So a lot of people were talking about that. I don't know if that age gap relates to the movie. Like if they said that she's 24 and he's 32. Like,
I
I don't
think
know.
I don't know, but I know that they met when she was only like
20.
freshly 20,
Yeah.
and like he was grown as hell. Um, yeah, it's getting weird. So Sam Levinson, I need you to explain this to me. Number two, Sam Levinson, you are not a black man. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. You might have some type of, I don't know what you see when you look in the mirror, but I'm here to tell you, you're not. Like, I just feel like at some point it was like the fact that when you really listen to like the dialogue and the monologues in Malcolm and Marie, it's like when you really think about the fact that a white man wrote this, it starts to get a little bit weird. Cause who
Yeah.
are you? Like,
Who do you think you are?
exactly, who do you think you are? Like, you're not a young black man. You're not. I'm sorry. So please, also let me just relate that to the fact, like, I have to bring this up. This has nothing to do with Malcolm and Marie, but I just want to know why he made that little white girl in Euphoria have a black accent for no reason. Like, what was her purpose?
Wait, what?
You know the little skinny white girl in Euphoria? Like, she's a part of their little friend group, but she has like a bunch of one-liners, and it's always some AAVE said terribly wrong.
I
Let me
don't.
pull up a picture of her. Because she makes me so angry because I literally don't see the point of her character. Maybe Sam Levinson trying to be funny
So
or
she's
something.
not one of the main characters like at all.
No,
Oh,
she
then I
just,
wouldn't remember her.
she appears in almost every episode to say something dumb with AAVE, and she sounds a absolute mess. Anyways, yeah, Sam Levinson, what was the point of that character? You just, like, also the sexualization of like these like young girls. I'm gonna need you to stop. I'm gonna need you to
And
stop.
also, what's his obsession with crack addicted black women? Because why do I keep
I
saying
think it's
crack?
because
I'm
he used
sorry.
to be on drugs when he was younger or something. He said that like he likes to like, I don't know if he said he likes, but he said that Euphoria was like inspired by like his life and like his like running with drugs or whatever. So, but I don't understand why I gotta be a black woman. Like,
There was also a lot of like, I don't know if this was intentional or if we're just making stuff up, but I felt like there were a lot of things like there were a lot of connections to Euphoria. Like if you think about it, like the difference between Marie and Rue, I don't know if they have any connection whatsoever, but like they sound super similar.
Healer?
They sound super similar in their background stories about being addicted to drugs. And if it's true that he had his own experience with drugs when he was younger, I guess it would make sense because you write what you know. So I guess, but it was
But
really
I seen a
interesting.
tweet that said somebody said that he's trying to make like they felt like this movie and like Euphoria was like in some like MCU type stuff because they said that apparently like Ali was like supposed to be Marie's dad. It was something crazy like that. Remember Ali, the one who was like in the AA meetings in Euphoria? They said
Yeah.
that he was supposed to be Marie's dad or something in Malcolm and Marie, something like that. I was like, I didn't pick that up, but thank you.
I feel like they were just grasping at straws. Because
Yeah, you
where
know
did they
how
get that
stands
from?
do.
Where did they get that from? Um,
Okay, overall thoughts on Malcolm and Marie, like, do you think it was a good movie?
if I were to rate this movie, I feel not gonna lie, I feel like a lot of these points are coming from the fact that Zendaya's in it. Because if I'm being for real, I don't know if I would have continued watching this movie if Zendaya wasn't in it or if we didn't plan to do an episode on it. Like this is a very intense movie and it's not for everyone. And I don't know if it was for me. So I feel like I would have to give it like I'm gonna go ahead and give it a 6. It's not that bad. The cinematography and like how the movie is made was really good, and also Zendaya's acting. John David's acting was also okay, but he was mainly screaming, which I just didn't like. But yeah, I'm gonna give it a good 6 out of 10. I don't know
I
what
would
you.
have to rate it like I'm gonna give it a 5 because I'm not gonna lie, it was like 50 minutes left of the movie, and I was like, when is this gonna be over? Like,
Yeah.
yeah, like I like Nyla said, like Zendaya being in it was like something that like pushed it up a little bit because if she wasn't in it, I wouldn't be watching that either. Like, I would have definitely clicked off within the first 30 minutes because it was getting boring real quick. I was like struggling to see the point of it because it was like people were saying that it didn't really feel like they weren't really getting the plot. Like it felt like Sam Levinson was using like the characters as a mouthpiece just for him to get his own little rants off. And I felt that too. Like I was struggling to see the point of some of the stuff they was talking about and they were talking about it for so long too. I'm like, okay, wrap it up because I'm tired of hearing it. Like it was boring. Like that's how I feel about the movie. So I'm gonna give it a 5 because it wasn't like a terrible movie. It was just boring.
I feel like this movie is more of, it would relate more to people who have probably been in like toxic relationships like this. They would be able to see themselves in it, but I've not been in a toxic relationship like this, so I can't really see it. Yeah, so I don't think it's for me. Either way, loved Zendaya. Mwah. That's so crazy. Labyrinth did music for Malcolm and Marie, and he also did music for Euphoria.
Love him. Love that man. Period.
Yes. Yeah, so that was our take on Malcolm and Marie. I hope that we didn't give you any spoilers. If you did watch Malcolm and Marie and then watched our episode, be sure to let us know what you thought about Malcolm and Marie and if you agree with us or not. We would love to hear your comments. So definitely let us know. And yeah, Laita, close us out.
Thank you guys for joining us for another episode of BackTalk with
Nyla
and Laita. See you guys next week. Bye.
Bye.